Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Abridged. The schoolmaster of Sleepy Hollow was a man named Ichabod Crane. His name was a good one because he looked like the kind of bird which is called a crane. He was very tall and thin, with narrow shoulders and long arms and legs. His head was small and very flat on the top. He had huge ears, large green eyes, and a very large nose. He was not handsome at all. Ichabod had a good life. He did not earn very much money from teaching. He could not buy a house of his own, so he stayed at the houses of different farmers in the area. He stayed with each farmer for a week. Each week, a farmer gave the schoolmaster a bed to sleep in and food to eat, and Ichabod helped the farmers with the work on their farms. He mended fences. He took water to the horses. He cut wood for the farmers' fires. Sometimes he helped the farmers' wives to look after their children. All the people of Sleepy Hollow respected Ichabod Crane because he was a schoolmaster. He was clever. He worked with his mind, not with his hands. He's a very intelligent man, everyone said. Most of the people in the valley could not read or write, but Ichabod could read. So he was an important man in the area. One day, a new pupil joined Ichabod's group of psalm singers. Her name was Katrina von Tassel, and she was the daughter of Baltus von Tassel, an old farmer whose farm was a few miles from Sleepy Hollow. Katrina was 18 years old, and she was beautiful. She had golden blonde hair, and she liked wearing pretty clothes. All the young men in the area admired Katrina, and Katrina knew this. She enjoyed the admiration very much. Katrina is a very pretty girl, said the people of the area. One day she will be a good wife for somebody. Her husband will be a very lucky man. He will marry Katrina, and he'll get her father's farm too. Katrina was Baltus von Tassel's only child. She had no brothers or sisters, so when her parents died, Katrina was going to inherit the farm. The land and everything on it was going to be hers. One day, she was going to be very rich. Soon after he met Katrina, Ichabod visited the Van Tassel farmhouse. It stood in a wide grassy place on the bank of the Hudson River. As Ichabod rolled up to the farmhouse, he saw cows, geese, ducks, turkeys, and hens. They all looked very fat and healthy. "This place is perfect," he said to himself. "If I marry Katrina, I'll have an easy life. I won't have to work. There'll be lots of delicious food all the time. Katrina will take very good care of me. I'll be very comfortable here with her and our children." From that time forward, Ichabod thought day and night about Katrina. "I must marry her," he said to himself. "There's a wonderful life waiting for me on that farm." There was a problem, though, for Ichabod. All the young men from the area admired Katrina, but there was one young man who admired her very much. He wanted to marry her too. This man's name was Brom Bones. Brom Bones was very different than Ichabod. He was tall and handsome. His body was big and strong, but he had short, black, curly hair. He was a very brave young man, and he was an excellent horse rider. He often rode in horse races, and he always won them. So everybody else stopped trying to win Katrina's love. Everybody except Ichabod Crane. Ichabod was not worried about Brom Bones and his visits to Katrina. He started to visit her himself. And when the schoolmaster came to the house, Katrina's father smoked his pipe happily. Her mother sang while she did her work. All the Van Tassels were happy. But when Brom Bones heard about Ichabod's visits to Katrina, he was not happy. One fine autumn afternoon, Ichabod was in the schoolhouse with his pupils. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. When Ichabod opened it, he saw it was one of Baltus von Tassel's servants outside. "You are invited to a party tonight at the Van Tassel farm," said the servant. "Will you come?" "Oh, yes," said Ichabod. He was very happy and excited. He also felt like it was important. Katrina's parents had asked him to come to the party, so they really did like him. They wanted him to marry their daughter. That was good, and he was going to see Katrina at the party as well. At last, Ichabod arrived at the Van Tassel's farmhouse. The party had already started, and many of the farmers from the area were there with their families. Everybody was dressed in their best clothes. The most beautiful girl, though, at the party was Katrina. Everybody admired her. She was laughing and talking to the guests. Ichabod looked at her, and he just smiled. But soon, the schoolmaster had an unpleasant surprise. Brom Bones was also at the party. "Oh no," thought Ichabod, "why is that man here?" After they finished dinner, nearly everybody started dancing. Ichabod liked dancing very much. When he danced, he moved his arms and legs very quickly. He looked very strange, but he ended up dancing with Katrina. Soon, everybody in the room was staring at them. Some people began to laugh. "How strange Ichabod looks," they said to one another. "Why does he dance like that?" At last the party finished, and it was time to go home. Ichabod went to find Katrina. He wanted to spend a few minutes alone with her. "You're looking very beautiful tonight," he told the young woman. "May I come to see you tomorrow afternoon?" But Katrina did not look happy or friendly towards Ichabod. She did not want to be alone with him. "No, I'm sorry," she said. "I won't be at home tomorrow afternoon." Ichabod was surprised. "Oh, may I come tomorrow evening then?" "No, I won't be here in the evening either," Katrina replied. "Well, can I come the next day?" "No, I'll be busy all this week," said Katrina. "Now please excuse me. I have to say goodbye to our other guests." A few minutes later, Ichabod saw Katrina with Brom Bones. They were talking together and laughing quietly. Then Brom Bones held Katrina's hand and kissed it. Katrina was looking very pleased and happy. It was almost midnight. The moon was shining brightly, and Ichabod was riding his horse slowly through the woods. Suddenly his horse stopped. He shouted at the horse, and he kicked it again and again to get it to move, but the horse would not. The horse was looking at something in the forest. Ichabod looked too. His mouth became dry with fear. A huge, dark, black shape was standing in front of him. What was it? Was it a ghost? The hair on Ichabod's head stood up. His body shook. He wanted to escape, but the horse would not move. "Who are you?" he whispered. The thing did not answer. "Who are you?" Ichabod asked again. Still there was no answer. Ichabod began to sing loudly. Suddenly the thing moved. Ichabod could see it more clearly. It had the shape of a large man on a huge black horse. Then at last, Ichabod's horse decided to move. He ran back to the road. The horse ran towards the bridge. The horsemen began to follow them. In a moment he was beside them. They crossed the bridge together. As Ichabod rode along, the horsemen rode beside him. When Ichabod rode quickly, the horsemen rode quickly. When Ichabod rode slowly, the horsemen rode slowly. He never left Ichabod's side. It was like a terrible race. The terrible race went on. Suddenly there was an opening between the trees. Ichabod saw the walls of a building. The building was near the road. Its walls were white in the moonlight. It was an old church. "That's the church where the horseman's body is buried," thought Ichabod. Just in front of the church, the road crossed a bridge over a river. Ichabod remembered the stories that he had heard at the Van Tassel's party. The horseman left Brom Bones at the bridge, the schoolmaster thought. He left Farmer Brower there too, so if I can reach the bridge, I'll be safe. The horseman can't pass the bridge near the church. He'll leave me and he'll go back to the graveyard. Ichabod's horse ran forward across the bridge, and after a moment they had reached the other side. Was the horseman still behind him? Ichabod turned around to find out. He saw the headless horseman standing up on his horse. He had lifted his arm in the air, and he was going to throw his head. Ichabod screamed as something hit him. It made a terrible, soft sound. The schoolmaster fell off his horse and lay on the ground. Ichabod Crane was never seen again.